Now at noon, an update on a pair of wildfires burning in the gorge, where firefighters are focusing their efforts. Also, federal dollars coming to parts of Oregon devastated by floods this spring. But one county that's also in need of that help got left out of the funding, where that leaves the people of Harney County. In Portland, a new overnight homeless shelter coming to downtown when it's slated to open, and the opportunity that's available for people who live in that neighborhood. And later, the big change coming to a local hospital system following pressure applied by the Trump administration. KGW News at noon starts right now. Good afternoon, I'm Drew Carney. We have breaking news to get to in Clackamas County. A man is now in custody after he barricaded himself in a Molalla police car. This all started earlier this morning in downtown Molalla. When it happened, it forced the Bloom and Grow Children's Center on West Main Street to go into lockdown. KGW's John Adams joins us live from Molalla here this afternoon with an update. John?
Yeah, Drew, we know the incident happened right behind me in this parking lot. That's where the suspect barricaded himself inside that Molalla police vehicle. Now, this all started when an officer was doing a routine check at a nearby park. A Molalla Police Department spokesperson was not able to give details on what led to the altercation or what it involved, but we do know that an officer sustained non-life-threatening injuries and had to be taken to the hospital. Now, the suspect was eventually taken into custody without issue, but a witness did tell us they saw officers using flashbangs during the standoff to try and remove the suspect. The incident did cause that nearby preschool to go into a self-imposed lockdown around 6 a.m. this morning, but the lockdown ended by late morning. Here is a sergeant with Molalla Police explaining what happened.
And after a short standoff with the suspect, he was taken into custody with no issues. At this time, there's no threat to the public. There was a local school that was locked down that has been opened up. So the public's safe, everything's good there.
Now, a worker with that daycare did tell us some parents did come and pick up their children during that standoff, but many of them brought them back when the standoff had ended. Drew?
All right, John Adams live for us here this afternoon in Molalla. Before we get to the rest of this afternoon's news headlines, we do want to check in with Rod Hill in the Weather Center. So, Rod, we've got the weekend at this point staring us right in the face.
Is this a subliminal message of how great the weekend's going to be?
I like it.
Yeah, do you like it? Certainly parts of the weekend are going to be sunny. All of the weekend is going to be comfortable when it comes to temperatures. So this is our live shot from Chinook Casino Resort in Lincoln City. The coast cleared out pretty early this morning here in Lincoln County. 59 degrees is the temperature. I do want to show you the visible satellite picture. The cameras verify this, that we still have areas of cloud cover holding up through Astoria and even inland up in Kelso Longview, but a lot of this will be eroding in the coming hours, meaning you folks too will start seeing increasing sunshine for a nice afternoon. Portland, we had some clouds early, but they started to break up in the 9 o'clock hour this morning, and now we're off and running with what will be clear sky afternoon. 67 is where we stand at noon, and this is what the weather models show for the coming 6 hours. So 75 at 2 o'clock, really comfortable for your afternoon. 79, 80, I think we have a chance to 80 for a high, and this puts us right there at 4 or 5 o'clock, even 6 o'clock, and then starting to cool down. 77 to 70, so it'll still be in the 70s even if you're outside at 9 o'clock this evening enjoying your Friday. The big message for the weekend is comfortable weather, and we'll have that 7-day forecast for you coming up.
All right, thank you, Rod. Level 1, 2, and 3 evacuation orders remain in place on the Washington side of the gorge for the towns of Klickitat and Waukiakis because of the Snyder Canyon fire. This is the fire that was previously called the Brewer Road fire. It's still 13% contained and is holding at about 50 acres, so no real changes on those fronts from yesterday. Fire officials did give one update, saying crews have boxed in this fire and are working to secure that perimeter. Some of the crews at the Snyder Canyon fire were already working nearby, roughly 10 miles away at the Berdo Fire. This one, much bigger. It's burning more than 11,000 acres since it started, and it's destroyed dozens of homes. Officials said today that crews are making more progress on building fire lines, but evacuation levels have remained unchanged. Federal funds are on the way to help 3 southern Oregon counties recover from devastating floods this spring. Harney County was also hit hard, but it's not getting any of this federal money. Officials in Harney County believe the extent of the damage they're faced with is being undercalculated because it's such a remote area of the state and it has such a small population. FEMA funding was approved for Coos, Curry, and Douglas counties. In a statement, Governor Tina Kotek said federal resources are essential to help communities impacted by disaster to recover and prevent future devastation. She said FEMA stepping up to support our recovery efforts is much appreciated. Officials in Burns, the largest city in Harney County, piggybacked off that statement, saying they can't recover without help from FEMA. The county received some state funding, but officials there say it's not enough. When we paid a visit to Burns back in May, city officials told us that a lot of people who lived there had already packed up and left for good.
It just doesn't look hopeful at all.
I've lately found myself feeling really angry about what's happening.
And without federal assistance, Harney County officials are pessimistic that people who already left will ever come back to the area. The city of Portland has plans in place to open up a new overnight homeless shelter downtown at the former site of St. Stephen's Episcopal Church. The low barrier shelter is set to open up in 10 days. Operation Night Watch, a nonprofit that's been operating homeless services in the area for years, bought the church building in January. A spokesperson for the city's shelter planning branch told KGW the new space will serve both men and women with room for 100 beds. We spoke to one woman who didn't want to be identified, but she told us that overnight shelters helped her get back on her feet.
Everybody needs to sleep. And I know that these streets are deadly, in a lot of different ways.
The city says it's inviting people who live in this area of downtown to come out and tour the shelter next Wednesday evening. While that's happening here in Portland, President Trump signed an executive order in D.C. yesterday, making it easier for cities around the country to remove homeless people from the street and involuntarily commit them to hospitals and treatment centers. The order also fast-tracks funding to communities that crack down on drug use, camping, and loitering. Last year, the Supreme Court ruled that cities can impose fines and jail time for unhoused people sleeping outside. Homeless advocates on the other side are criticizing the president's order. They say it deprives people of their basic human rights. The Trump administration has also applied pressure to hospital systems around the country. Under that pressure, Kaiser Permanente says it will no longer provide gender-affirming surgeries for minors. Here's KGW's Alma McCarty with local reaction to that decision.
Essentially, we're taking healthcare away from folks, and that's very antithetical to what community is about.
Reaction from leadership at Portland's Q Center, the oldest operating LGBTQ plus space in the city.
This is just, once again, like taking away an avenue for a person to be able to live a life that's authentic in their own.
Elijah Alexander and Joelle Kim, deeply discouraged by Kaiser Permanente's recent call to end a portion of its gender-affirming care. In a statement, the hospital system writing, in part, "We've made the difficult decision to pause surgical treatment for patients under the age of 19. This pause is effective August 29th. All other gender-affirming care treatment remains available."
I think that it's really frustrating to see folks in these positions of power making decisions about other people's bodies.
The pressure coming from the top, with the Trump administration instructing federal agencies to restrict care. Just this month, the DOJ announced it subpoenaed more than 20 doctors and clinics, with Attorney General Pam Bondi stating medical professionals and organizations that mutilated children in the service of a warped ideology will be held accountable by this Department of Justice.
I can't imagine that this is the end. I think, especially if we continue to have these stricter and stricter restrictions placed upon, like, once again, this life-saving care, that the community will just continue to suffer because of it.
But Oregon Senate Republican leader Daniel Bonham supports the change, saying, quote, "No child should be put on a path they can't reverse before they've had a chance to fully develop. These decisions should be guided by science, not politics." Alma McCarty, KGW News.
A couple of other notes to Alma's report there. A spokesperson with Kaiser Permanente told us they did not receive a subpoena from the Department of Justice. Meanwhile, OHSU told KGW that they, quote, "continue to provide the full spectrum of gender-affirming care, including surgery."